Then I'll give you a chance. Bukenya, what do you know about the new curriculum?
Bukenya, you can put on your video so that you talk. Bukenya, when we give you a chance to say something, you put on your video for the recording purpose. Then I spotlight you.
Okay. Can I speak now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. What I know about the new curriculum is that it's different from the other previous curriculums. Is that it involves more of the student doing the work compared to the teacher. We're the ones that make the research ourselves. Like most of the work is us, and that it's more of continuous assessment than notes. Like it's not specifically about how many notes you have, but it depends on okay, like instead of us doing notes a lot, we do very many activities that we understand something, like continuous assessment, and that at the end we have an activity of integration instead of an examination, and that it's not graded in the same way as the normal grading of 80% and all. That's what I know about the new curriculum.
Wow. You cracked it. Thank you. Marilyn, oui. What do you know about the new curriculum? I see your hand is up.
In our new curriculum, we're the ones who do most of the work. The old curriculum, we used to be the ones who just get the notes the teacher would write on the board. But now that we at least can do what the teacher used to do in the old curriculum, at the end of every topic, we do an activity of integration, and the activity is graded. If you get 1, you did fairly. If you did 2, not so good. If you did 3, that's great. But if you got 4, that's excellent. And our marks are sent to UNEB so that they can keep it in the register for every activity of integration we do. They'll add up to 20% of our marks in S4. And then when we're in S4, we'll do for only 80%. That's what I know.
Okay. So thank you. Thank you, Marilyn. You
Welcome.
more or less cracked it well. I thought I heard you say that the activity of integration is graded. It is at the end of a chapter. And you talked about the levels of performance. You talked about a 1 being not so good, and then a 2 being fair, and then great, a 3, and number 4. Now, ordinarily, we do it from 1 to 3, not 1 to 4. So it is usually 1 to 3. And then, Kenya, you said that it doesn't depend so much on notes. I agree. It has activities and then continuous assessment. Great. My next question to you, I see the hands are down. My next question to you all, and you can type this in the chat room so that we can have maximum participation. What do you want to know about the new curriculum? What questions do you have about the new curriculum? So we have 3 minutes. Think about it. What questions do you have about the new curriculum? So I'm giving you 3 minutes. Think about it. Hit the chat room. Mr. Namdala, kindly open the chat room so that people can start writing. What do they want to know about the new curriculum? Or do they know everything about it?
The chat room is open.
Don't go for. What do you know about? What do you want to know about the new curriculum? What questions do you have? Okay. I think now we can close the chat room. Okay, let's give it 1 minute. I see many questions are coming in. Let's give it another minute. I was thinking that we could close it, but we'll give it a minute. Okay, there are quite a number of questions. Many questions that have come in. Great. Mr. Namdal, let us close the chat room, and then I'll get one person to write, to read for us some of the questions so that we can be able to follow. So we are closing the chat room for now to allow us to read the questions. We shall open it.
It is closed.
Okay. I see a hand up. I think that is a volunteer who would like to read for us. And then I also see 2 hands. Pick one, Mr. Namdala.
Yes. Yeah. I wanted to volunteer.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Your name? Your name?
My name is Marilyn Owing.
Then put on your video. Put on your video.
My name is
Put on your video.
It's on.
Okay.
It's on.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can read.
Okay. The Bukenya Leah says that the grading. I would really love to know the grading.
Okay.
Oh. Then
Continue.
Esther says, why was the curriculum changed? Akide Elizabeth says, how can we get our results at the end of the term? Rania Nanyazi, how accurate is the grading in the new curriculum? Nakalanzi Faith says, how do they mark activities of integration? Birunji Skylar, yeah, why did they change the curriculum? Kenya Leah says, how are the few supposed to teach, teacher? Natitendi Elisha says, what aggregates do we get if you have passed all the subjects? I said some of us have done activities of integration, others missed, so have they missed out on those marks? Because it wasn't their fault that the teachers keep starting on different topics. Nuriat says, are we going to be going for field trips outside the school? Najinda Maison says, why did they change the curriculum? Esther said, are we allowed to enter without gadgets in the exams because of research? Joyce of One North says, I would like to know about different marks in percentage and how much they weigh. Helen, if we do the activities as a group, how are the marks awarded? Nuriat says, what if someone misses activity of integration? Bukenya Leah says, are these exams? Karunji Daniela, like after grading, how do you determine the final aggregate? Shiham says, so if you have finished. Akide Elizabeth, why can't we use the curriculum only in S1? It is stressing. Bukenya Leah says, how exactly are the teachers supposed to teach? Kalema Shadia says, who gave them the idea of changing the curriculum? Nuriat says, in Form 4, are we going to write exams? Bukenya Leah says, is there a position in the new curriculum? Martha of S1 East says, shall we use it till S6? Nuriat says, what does the 80% in Form contain?
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much, Marilyn, for reading through. Okay.
You're welcome.
Quite a number of interesting questions. I hope we'll manage to answer all of them today. It will be a discussion and a presentation. So we'll use both methods to presenting and then as well discussing. So I'll go to the presentation. I'm keeping track of the questions. The presentation that I have, I think, will handle many of the questions. If a question is not handled as part of that presentation, I'll be happy to revisit it. And we could open the chat room so that as I present, questions could continue coming in. But kindly restrict yourselves to issues to do with this particular workshop. Don't send highs, don't do a lot of other things. Let us focus on the task at hand so that we don't close the chat room. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Mr. Namdala, I need you to grant permission for sharing the screen. Make me a co-host. Okay. Yep. Mm-hmm. Just one moment. I need to look for the presentation quickly. I am not able to see it on the screen, so give me a minute. I'm pausing recording for a while to give me time to presentation. We shall have opportunity to look at them. So I hope you are able to see my screen that I've shared.
Yeah.
Great. Now, a few things. Number one, what was the purpose, the reason for changing? The new curriculum was changed to ensure that we produce citizens who are competent, learners who are competent. Because previously, the old curriculum focused on knowledge, acquisition of knowledge and getting certificates. But as you all know, not everyone was getting productive. The degrees that people had were not very useful anyway. So this new curriculum was intended to ensure that it produces a competent learner who can survive in any part of the world, who will make a positive contribution to the world. That is why. Now, the old curriculum as well had a lot of materials, content that was overlapping. I'll give you an example. In geography, we're teaching about industrialization in North America, that is in British Columbia, in the southern part of USA, in New England, in the Great Lakes region, in the prairies. We're teaching about industrialization in Nigeria, in wherever. Same thing, done many times. And even across subjects, there was content overload, a lot of things. People were forced to cram. This new curriculum is intended to ensure that instead of cramming, you gain skills and values that can be used in life. It also reduces the amount of cramming and content that is in the curriculum, and also reduces the subjects that you need to do. So that is why. Now, it focuses on being able to apply what you learn. Why? Because like we said earlier on, many people had qualifications and they couldn't survive in the world. They were not prepared for the world. And another thing, what changed in the curriculum, and this one I think Bukenya pointed it out correctly, that assessment has changed. In the new curriculum, assessment is different. The way we record marks is different. And I'm happy that many of you said you wanted to learn a little more about that particular area. Someone asked a question, and I think here is the answer. One, we were told that there will be continuous assessment. Number two, that continuous assessment will contribute 20%. Number three, we had been told that the activity of integration will contribute the 20%. Now, we know now that yes, continuous assessment will contribute. What it will contribute is not the issue right now, but we know it will contribute a percentage to the final UNEB score. That one we know. Is it 20%? We are not yet sure. If the authorities that are responsible for the curriculum are discussing which percentage it will contribute. Secondly, is it only the activity of integration that will contribute? No. Projects have been added. Fieldwork in some subjects has been added. And therefore here, I want to answer the question of someone, I didn't record the name, who asked, would there be fieldwork? Shall we go for field trips? Ordinarily, yes. In the context of COVID, I cannot confirm. Today, even if you wanted to go for just a trip outside of your home, you are unable to go. So we don't know what the future holds, but in principle, you should be able to go for a trip. A quick note, fieldwork is ideally done in your neighborhood. So those of you who did a bit of fieldwork, please don't give it up. This is something that you can continue to develop and you even submit at your neighbor. So don't give them up. Grading, the grading will be done, but I'll do that at a later stage. I've answered a few questions. Another thing, the curriculum reduced the subjects. Previously, senior ones used to do 11 or 18 subjects. Now they do 11 at most, and we add one more. So we do a maximum of 12. In some schools, they add ICT because it's a language. It is a tool that they want to use all the time. So some people add ICT. Okay. And I'll show you the subject menu. Wait a minute. I'll show you the subject menu shortly. Now, this new curriculum, like Bukenya said, focuses on developing skills. It focuses on developing skills. I'm going to pause a bit here, just a quick pause. I had to sort out one thing quickly. So the new curriculum focuses on developing skills, and we call them generic skills, critical thinking and problem-solving skills. That's why we give you things that some people are saying are stressing. That's why we give you an activity of integration that is challenging, that requires you to think and come up with a solution. It focuses on communication skills. That's why when we are teaching in the new curriculum, we let you make a presentation. You research and then you come and make a presentation, because we are developing communication skills. We are tired of people who have degrees and cannot even swear. They go for swearing, they are just shivering. We are tired of having people who have graduated and are being read by people who have done nothing, because the guys who have not studied have learned communication skills, and those who have gone to school have never acquired those skills. So we want to be sure that you learn how to communicate. Creativity and innovation. We want you to come up with new ideas. That's why we give you unstructured problems. We say, come up with this one. Go and research. What is the solution? Mathematical computation and ICT proficiency. Proficiency means being able to do something superbly well, something that is so up there. So in this new curriculum, people must be able to use ICT. That's why this curriculum allows you to choose the subject of ICT. That's why in some schools, ICT has been embraced. And I'm happy that the guys who are here are already converted. We want you to develop the skill of cooperation. That's why we put you in groups to work. We work in groups. Another, self-directed learning, taking charge of your learning, not waiting for the teacher to give you notes. That is what we call self-directed learner, someone who is responsible for his own learning or her own learning. People who know how to learn, who can learn anything. Those are people that we want to develop. So you said, therefore, there was a question, how are the teachers supposed to teach? I think now we're handling that question. They are supposed to teach in a way that develops skills, the subject skills. You need to know the geography skills, drawing a map, doing field work. You need to know the mathematical skills, calculating distances, etc. The physics skills, measuring, doing experiments. Those skills you must have. But in addition, you must have generic skills for survival in the world. That is the new curriculum. The new curriculum is not knowledge-based. The old curriculum is this one, where you have your teacher right there at the top, the knower of all things, the guy who knows it all, who has the knowledge, and then pushes it to the students who are supposed to cram it, and they do end of topic tests, they do multiple choice questions, etc. That is how you were grilled in primary. The new curriculum says, no, give an activity, let the students learn, give them stimulus material. I'm pointing at this one, stimulus material. Provide them with experiences, put them in a group, let them work together. Give them problems so that they can learn to solve them. Give them tasks so that they can investigate. That's why we say, please go outside and do this, research on this and come up with solutions. Explore as a group, conduct an experiment, do field work. So the new curriculum is activity-based. And after the activity, the students discuss. And when you discuss, you create your knowledge. And then we are able to move forward. The teacher gives you feedback in the new curriculum. And then it is followed by assessment. We say formative and summative. Let me change the wording and say continuous assessment as the teacher is teaching. The teacher is making an assessment. He is talking to you. There it is assessment. You are talking to the teacher. He wants to find out, how are you progressing? He's gaining information. That is part of assessment. Assessment is not just an exam. It is not an end of topic test. The teacher discovers whether you are able to learn, whether you are struggling, things which are enjoyable through talking to you, through seeing what you are doing. We call it observation. So the teacher observes what you are doing. The teacher sees, observes, record, and then at the same time talks to you as you are working. That is assessment. It is continuous. There, he does not record marks, but at the same time, they are what we would call exams. And you told me it is activity of integration. We assess whether you have achieved the learning outcome at the end of the topic. You have achieved the competency. What was supposed to learn, have you achieved it at the end of the topic? So that is the new curriculum. It is activity-based. The new curriculum also looks at other issues, not only the subject knowledge. There are other issues because they affect real life. For example, climate change is there as a cross-cutting issue, meaning that in any subject it is taught. Human rights, they are not taught as topics, no, but they are embedded in the discussion. Peace education. Now, COVID will come in. Previously, it was HIV/AIDS, but now COVID will come in as a cross-cutting issue. These are embedded in your syllabus. You already know about the subjects which are compulsory. So those ones we don't need to go into. But probably you might not know the subjects which are called electives. Some people call them optionals. We call them electives. Agriculture, ICT, local language, literature, nutrition and food technology. Those subjects are regarded as electives. And the compulsory ones are here because you're already in senior one. I will not go through them. If your parents are on, I'll go through them. But if it is only you guys, the students, this is information that you already have. In senior one, you have 11 compulsory subjects, which are here. For senior, you might know that Swahili was not one of the subjects earlier, which was compulsory. Physical education was not, so probably you might not know. I'm checking the chat from a bit, just in case there is a comment before I proceed. Okay. So, someone is saying, I thought ICT was compulsory. ICT is compulsory in our school because it is taken as a language. Like we said, ICT and computational mastery, they are important skills. So we teach it to enable you to do research and use these things. If we don't have it, then we can't even communicate using these gadgets. Okay. So in some schools, it is optional. It is an elective, and we have already explained that one. The compulsory subjects are here. Now, what are the electives in senior 2 and senior 3? Senior 3 and senior 4, 7 subjects are compulsory, and they are English, math, history and political education. That is one subject which was math, geography, physics, biology, and chemistry. Those of you who are doing online learning, you might have discovered that most of the online learning programs are concentrating on those 7 because they are compulsory. Whatever happens, you'll do them in senior 3 and senior 4. The other subjects will become electives as we move forward. I think I can show you a slide here which shows some of those electives and how you can select. But maybe that one we shall cross when we come to it. Okay. So that is a quick brief about the new curriculum. And now I'm going to move on to the details of how we assess, how the marking is done, etc., etc. So that one is a quick brief or a quick introduction of the new curriculum. Now I'm going to move on to the next item. I'm monitoring the chat room just to see if there's an issue that has come up in the chat room. Teacher, please repeat the cross-cutting issues. Okay. The cross-cutting issues, these are challenges in the community which we must respond to. They are taught in the curriculum, not as topics or subjects, but they are integrated, they are embedded, they are hidden inside the other topics that we are teaching. cross-cutting issues such as HIV and AIDS. By the time they made this curriculum, there was no COVID. But now I can guarantee that now COVID will be a cross-cutting issue that is added. Gender issues are to do with the roles of women, understanding the roles of women and men in society. Those are gender issues. Climate change is another. So those issues which affect people, they are not being taught as different subjects, but they are embedded in each and every subject. Those are what we are calling the cross-cutting issues. I'll be sending you a document which has detailed information about each of the issues that I have highlighted, but I thought that we could just pick up a few of these things. Okay. Now I want to pause for a minute, take a glass of water. Mr. Namdala, at this time, feel free to play for us one little video. Probably we can do that of Nabisonsa. I take a glass of water and start the next presentation. If there is a question that is arising from my presentation, toss it in the chat room and then we'll continue. A minute of a break. Thank you. Okay, now I'm hitting the chat room just to check if there are any critical issues. Mr. Namdala, kindly help to monitor the chat room. If you the issue that you think is critical, you kindly stop me, then I'll pay attention to it. So let me take a minute to read the chat room quickly. Okay, I see some people experiencing technical problems. Okay, sorry about that. Is the workshop being recorded because my network is disturbing? Yes. Yeah, we are recording, so you'll be able to follow it up later. Which I repeat that, okay? Okay, it seems we are okay. There are no additional issues at this time. So let me move on quickly to discussing the other activity of integration, which is probably the area where people had many questions. I'm going to start by brainstorming with you. What do we understand by the activity of integration, and what is the purpose of the activity of integration? So I'm kindly go to the chat room, and then we handle that as well. Mr. Namdala, there are two people with hands up. Maybe they could provide us with some answers at this time.
Bukenya Alia.
Okay, when someone says activity of integration, I think of what? Of course, an activity, but like they have put very many different concepts of a certain topic together. Like they're trying to see very many different things in one question. Like they bring different ideas into one question. Yeah, that's what I think about an activity of integration.
Okay. Thank you. So in your opinion, they bring many ideas into one question. Okay.
Yes.
Maizu,
My son, put on your video.
Teacher, but an activity of integration, I think it's like an activity where at a certain end of, at the end of a certain topic, where marks are recorded to be added into a major exam.
okay. Maizu says it's an activity done at the end of the topic and the marks are recorded. Did I see the hand of Marilyn up?
According to me, an activity of integration is when at the end of a topic, the teachers or in the learner's book, they will pile up different questions or different activities from particularly what you learned in the topic to see whether you have understood or picked up at least anything from what you've learned from the topic. That's what I think of an activity of integration.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we nailed it correctly. You guys have nailed it. An activity of integration is done at the end of the chapter, but can it be done before the chapter ends? Have you, Can it be done before the end of the chapter?
Maybe not, because they may bring a certain concept in the question when you have not yet covered it before the chapter ends. So I doubt it can be done before the chapter is done.
Okay. So thank you. Now, just information. A chapter may have more than one activity of integration. You are right. The activity of integration is like a test. It is like an exam. It is an activity. It is done usually at the end of the chapter, but it can be done before the end of the chapter where you have a very long chapter that has many learning outcomes. And it is intended to test whether the competency that was stated in the topic or the chapter has been achieved. I'm going to share the screen right now so that I continue with the presentation. You guys are sharp. You have provided me, you have made my work very, very easy. So the purpose of the activity of integration is to check whether the learner has acquired that knowledge. We are saying it is the last summative activity. Summative means it combines many topics. Someone said it checks for understanding, it checks for a lot of things. And it is intended to evaluate your understanding, your ability to solve a problem. So the activity of integration checks whether you can solve a contextualized problem. Can you apply what you have learned in the chapter? It will check for your knowledge, for your skills, for your behaviors. So it doesn't check only for knowledge. It even checks for your skills. And usually it is done at the end of the chapter, but like we have said, where you have very many activities or very many learning outcomes, you could have more than one activity of integration. The activity of integration, they are combined in a term or year, and they will contribute to national summative assessment. The grades you score are being recorded and will be submitted to UNEB at the end of 4 years. Now, the platform is such that UNEB is now building the system where we can submit the results as they come in. Now, someone asked a question. Supposing I am in one school, then I go to another where they have not done a particular topic or they had already done a topic. You go with your marks. They will use what they call a mean, lean, learner identification number. You will go with your marks. There was another question here. How about some of us for some people who missed activities of integration. Now, you all know that we have had an unusual year. For a fact, we've had an unusual year. You are studying today, you are not studying another time. You are doing this topic today, and then things happen. Things have been upside down. And teachers and schools are aware. So don't keep quiet if you've missed an activity of integration. I have this feeling that schools will organize, but it will not become a tradition. So don't go saying, oh, traditionally they organize. They might record a dash, but we have had an unusual year, and probably many people, a lot of things might change. The activity of integration enables you, the learner, to demonstrate that you have acquired the competency. It enables you to demonstrate that you have acquired the competency. In the activity of integration, we test high order thinking skills. We don't test just knowledge. So we will give you a problem and something that needs you to think at a very high level to analyze, almost like a university student. Someone said, oh, the activity of integration, they combine a lot of things, and then they give you, you are right. In the activity of integration, we combine a lot of things. That's why we call it activity of integration. You are supposed to combine knowledge, skills, values, combine all of them. You are supposed to combine all the things you have learned in the activities. You're supposed to get your understanding. We call it kusiva, your knowledge, your understanding, your skills, your values to solve a problem. So the questions there involve a scenario. They have instructions, and I'm going to give you an example. And they can even give you some materials that support. For example, let me give you one, this one. I'm going to read it slowly. But why do I read when I have many of you behind there who can read? Do we have a volunteer whose screen is large enough? I see 2 hands up. Let's have a volunteer read for us this. Mr. Namdala, you could select.
Let us have Jivumbi.
Example explained, short-horned grasshoppers or desert locusts are moving in swarms across Eastern Africa. So far, they have covered several kilometers south of Ethiopia and northwest of Kenya. These locusts eat all green plants found in their way. In the past few days, a swarm of locusts was sighted approaching Karamoja region.
Okay, and then we have some pictures. Now you are seeing picture 1 on the left and then picture 2 on the right. What do you see in those pictures, in those 2 pictures? Feel free to raise your hand. Mr. Namdala, feel free to pick one.
Raihana.
Good afternoon, teacher.
Good afternoon.
In the first picture on the left, I can see the locusts invading the plants. Then in the other one, they are dead.
Yes, they have more or less been controlled. But at the same time, you're also seeing the grass gone, the plants are gone. So the locusts are dead, but even the grass has been, the plants have been eaten. Now the activity of integration here, you are not seeing, it has a problem. Short-horned grasshoppers are attacking. It has support material to lead you to be curious. And then it has a task. Let's have another person read for us the task that has been given. Mr. Namdala, you may select.
Let me select Nachitende, Alicia. Nachitende.
Design a sensitization message for the Ministry of Disaster Preparedness on what is likely to happen if the locusts invaded the rest of Uganda.
Exactly. So now you can see, we call that a task. So instead of just saying, question number 1, what are locusts? B, name the areas where locusts attack. 3, what happens when locusts attack an area? 4, describe the measures that should be taken or could be taken, which invites scrum work. This one will give you a scenario and you're supposed to think. We said design a sensitization message. Sensitization message, a message to raise awareness of people about the locusts and what is likely to happen when the locusts have invaded the rest of Uganda. So this one now requires you to think. That's why we are saying we are looking at high order thinking skills. Now, it also gives me an opportunity to answer a few questions. Someone said, do we do it in a group? No. You do the activity of integration as an individual. It is an individual exam. Those which are being done in groups, do we have activities done in groups? Yes. Those group activities are for learning. This one is summative assessment for you to prove that you know. The next question was, so I want to tick off from my thing here where you said, hey, a group, okay, we have ticked it off, answered. Said, can they allow me to do the activity of integration with the gadgets like phones, computers, etc.? The answer is yes and no. It depends on the nature of the activity. We can set an activity of integration and give you a computer and even internet. We tell you, no, you can even research. When we want you to process, to analyze, we are not testing recall. The old curriculum, the reason we used to stop you from bringing anything, we were testing, recalling knowledge. So if you brought the paper, we knew you were going to pass. But I can set a question and give you all the materials, the books and everything, and you still don't get it. So it's not about knowledge, it is more about your competency, your understanding. And sometimes people might allow you to have materials. Most of the time, they will not, because it is expected that you should have acquired the material. How do we assess an activity of integration? I'm going to the chat room quickly before I answer to check whether there are emerging questions which are critical to answer. Okay, so far we are okay, we are good. Now we assess an activity of integration. Someone said, I think that Kenya, she said it was marked like the traditional way. And you are right. We mark this one in today. We mark it using what we call a grid, an assessment or an evaluation grid. And it looks like this. It is the teachers who use this grid to mark you, but they'll use it to give you feedback. The grid will show an expected output, something that you are expected to hand in. People call it a deliverable. When we give you an activity of integration, it is not for fun. It is an exam. It is an assessment. So we expect something from you. It could be a letter. It could be a poster. It could be an essay. It could be a diagram. It could be a map. It could be guidelines. You say develop guidelines for this. It could be a presentation. It may be an audio recording. We might say you record if you want, get your phone, whatever, record the message. So it's a lot of things. Number two, it has a basis of evaluation. When we give you a question, an activity of integration, there are certain things that we are looking for. It is not for fun. We say design a sensitization message. What are we looking for? There are certain concepts that we are looking for. Design a sensitization message. Do you know the structure of a sensitization message? What is the content of the sensitization message? Because we say design a sensitization message, pointing out what would happen when the locusts invade the rest of Uganda. Do you know? Can you speculate? Can you project what could happen? So we shall check maybe another thing, understanding of what could happen, effects of locusts, dangers of locusts. So we have to judge certain concepts. We call it basis of evaluation. We don't imagine. Some people say, activity of integration, the teacher sits and will give you some marks. No. We say we are going to judge this according to this and this and this. Number 3, we judge the points you have given to check whether they are relevant. Are you writing things which are related to the work? We say design and sensitization message for the Ministry of Disaster Preparedness about what will happen when locusts attack. Then for you write steps of doing an introduction ceremony in Uganda. Is it relevant? Is it related to the task? Step number 1, you buy chicken. Step number 2, you get a muko. Step number 3, unrelated things. So the points that you give should be related to the task that has been given. We call that one relevancy. And we score things on a scale. It is a scale that ranges from 1 to 3. I'll be looking at what that means. If the things are relevant, they are very okay, 3. If the things you have given are they are shaking in between, it will be 2. As someone was saying. Then accuracy. Here we are looking at, is it correct? What you are giving, is it correct? If you use units, are they the correct units? If it is, you said, factors, are they the correct factors? We call that one what? Accuracy. And then the next is coherency or coherence. Now, are the things you are writing connected? Are they logical? Are they in order? Are there no contradictions? Are they consistent? We call that coherency. Are they understandable? Some people, you give them a question, they just get a pen and write point 1, food. What is likely to happen when the locusts invade the rest of Uganda? You say, dead. Point number 2, there. Point number 3, they will come. Point number 4, hunger. What does it mean? How does it come about? So you explain well. The points, are they understandable? So this thing of listing, which you have seen in the past papers of senior 2, your sisters, are not the ones you should be using. No. For you should write as though you are now university people. Because you have done research. You can't just list points. What is likely to happen when locusts come and invade Uganda, the rest of Uganda? 1, hunger. 2, hey. So you write in a way that is understandable. You explain why, so that it is logical. That is what we mean. Then we have a mark, we call it 1 for excellency. If you provide additional information, it could be information, it could be an example that is extraordinary, that is outstanding. Where you say, wow, this girl. There you get a score for excellency. I want to comment here. That score for excellency is earned once for the assignment. So if we have basis 1, basis 2, basis 3, we earn it once. It is for the entire assignment, for the entire activity of integration. I'm going to monitor the chat room because the things here I'm saying a bit technical. Mr. Namdala, kindly monitor the chat room for me. If there is an issue that I must attend to, let me do that quickly. So for relevancy, we score it on a scale of 1 to 3. When you are given 1, it is a low thing, it is the lowest. 3 is the highest. And the examiner will tell you what kind of performance constitutes 3. But let us take it that when you get a 3 in an assignment, in Uganda, Tugamba, or Kamazeyo, you have scored the maximum score. We could say you are accomplished. You have got it right. There are specific words that we use for those things. So 3, when we give you 3, we say you are accomplished. That is the thing, we accomplished. You have got it. 2 is moderate. Another word would be average. But I think a polite one is what? Moderate. 1 is basic. So if you get your activity of integration and the teacher returns the paper, and in that square for relevance, he put 1, then you know, that one I never got properly. If the teacher puts a 3, you say, I got it. If he or she puts a 2, you know you have some work to do, but you are getting there. So when we are scoring an activity of integration, like I told you, we have a basis of evaluation. Let me take the example of the locusts. Says short-horned grasshoppers are visiting Uganda. Design a sensitization message. Basis number 1 could be the structure of the sensitization message. So when I'm scoring, I say, let me look at structure. So basis 1, structure of the message. What you have written, is it like a message, a sensitization message? Then I give it a score. I check relevance, 1 to 3, where does it fall? Accuracy, 1 to 3, where does it fall? Structure, coherency, where does it fall? The next one could be basis 2, which is here, why? Could be effects. So basis 2, effects or dangers. What is likely to happen? Those are effects or dangers. Then I look at the points you have given. I say, okay, if the person has given me 7 to 10 points, that person is very good, is in the top range, is accomplished. That one is 3. You've given me relevant points, 3 to 6, 2. You've given me below 3 or below 4, 1. Then we go like that to accuracy, to coherency, etc. So we check each and every component. If you see you've got a 3, you have done it well. A 2, you are getting there. A 1, you have a lot of work to do, but in the professional way. A 1, you are basic. It is basic score. You have not achieved much. You have achieved only a few learning outcomes. You have not scored yet. You are there. It is the lowest. 2 is moderate. 3, check. We are happy with you when it is a 3. Let me again check the atom. Do they return the papers when we do the activity of integration? Yes. And you also see the rubric or the grid that is being used to mark. The grid is the one that provides you with information. That is when you say, you learn, here I need to improve. This one I did not do very well. Now, I'm going to, when you look at this one here, each basis is out of 3. So if you have an activity of integration that has 3 bases, basis 1 has relevance 3, accuracy 3, coherence 3. Then you have the next basis and the next basis. When I add this, I see 3 plus 3 plus 3, that is 9. The next row is 9. The next one is 9. So it is 9 times 3, which is 27, plus 1 here, which makes it 28. You could be given an activity of integration that has only one basis. Only one basis. Then it is marked 3, 3, 3, plus 1. So it will be marked out of 10. It could be having 2 bases. So it will be 9 plus 9 plus 1. That is 9 plus 9, it is 18, plus 1, that is 19. So in summary, the activity of integration could be marked out of 10, 19, 28, and so on. Is it 28? Yeah. 7 times 3 is 27 plus 1, and so on, and so forth. That is how we do the activity of integration. I'm reading a few questions in the chat room. Teacher, can't other teachers in other schools cheat for students on UNEB level through activities of integration? Can't they cheat for students? Now, my friends, remember there is also another exam at the end. This is not the only exam. But teacher, UNEB is putting up new departments. There is a department of continuous assessment. Some of my colleagues have been employed in that department. They were not there before. So they will be doing inspection. They can come and give a spot check. Then they see the person, the teacher reported, this person is accomplished, give him or her a test or an activity of integration, and the man is struggling. Then they ask the teacher, for you, what are you teaching here? Next question, is it possible to get a 0 in the activity of integration? Ordinarily, it is difficult to get a 0 because we are judging from 1 to 3. But I'll show you a scale where you can tell that this person, even though scored a mark, this person is among the lowest of the low. So I'll show you that particular scale. Next question, therefore, which comes from that. And I want to tick it off. You said, how do they find the final aggregate and how do they arrange people best, next, etc. I think a question came in that is a bit like that, arranging people. In this new curriculum, we do not position you. Ordinarily, we do not position for the activities of integration. But you'll be able to know where you belong. You are being judged according to the curriculum, not according to how other people have performed. You can fail to perform well, and I'm going to give you a scale that shows you that. So we don't compare you with other students, we compare you with the learning outcomes to see whether you have attained or not attained. Okay, I'll go to the next one. This one I think is clear. Why aren't we positioned? Why aren't you positioned? Previously, when we are being positioned, we are doing unnecessary competition. You are competing with who? You should compete with the curriculum. You come to school to learn, not to compete with other students. A competency-based curriculum tests your competence, your ability, not your position in class. Because you could be number 1 amongst people who are performing poorly. That doesn't help us. Similarly, you might be number 7 in a class of 7, but you are performing very well. So we are looking at how you perform in relation to the curriculum, not in relation to others. Are we able to tell that so and so is performing better than the other? Certainly we can. But is it the main thing? No, it is not the main reason. Another question, when we come back to school, how are we going to be promoted to the next class? That is a question that the school will answer. Here, I am talking as a teacher. I am not talking as school administrator. Now, another question, therefore, can we do other exams that are not activities of integration? Of course you can. because even for UNEB, there will be a final exam. So yes, you can. It is usually not encouraged, but it is very possible, and that is a policy the school can decide to say you are going to do exams, because some people relax. They say, for me, it is just activity of integration. Hey, the school can say, we are giving an exam. And the reason is there will also be an exam at the end. So kindly do the activities of integration, revise, try to understand, but the focus is not exams. When we come back to school, are we going to be promoted to the next class? Which school? That is a policy issue. And kindly remember, on this platform here today, we have students from different schools. It is not only Nabisunsa. What I'm presenting is not the official student policy for Nabisunsa. No, this is a policy. This is an issue that is okay. I see a hand up. Mr. Namdala, could you please give Mr. Baiman a chance to talk at this point?
So thank you very much. I just wanted to add on the possibility of doing other exams. Like you said, UNEB at one point will also have to assess the learners, but they will not assess from just one topic. They will expect that you had the competence from all the other topics. And therefore, to keep remembering those competencies right from senior one, probably you need something to keep you up to date, and that can be in form of an exam. So probably they may not be avoided really. Thank you.
Okay. Students you have had, and there is a benefit in doing that exam because you get to learn what the exams look like. Mr. Baiman, you put down the hand so that we don't pick you accidentally again. Okay. Then I see, will there be results at the end of the term? I don't remember how I wrote this question, but okay, I think that is, how will it be reported at the end of the term? Now, I want us to continue basing on that. How will it be reported? Someone asked a question, how was it changed? Results at the end of the term? Yes, at the end of the term, we shall report to your parents, even to you, how you have performed. So you're not doing the activity of integration and just walking away, we have just done something, and no, it will be reported.
Mr. Golooba.
Yes, please.
There is some good question here from Helen. She was asking, how will our exams be? Will they be like activities of integration, questions flowing normally, or any other way? So for her, what she wants to know, if at all they give them the questions, will it be like the activity of integration, that format where they give you a scenario, then there is a problem, then they give you a task? That's what she wants to know.
Okay. Thank you. As we speak right now, the format of the questions is being discussed. There is one school which says, you make them like activities of integration. Another school says, put some things that are like knowledge that test for addition for other areas. The final decision will be made and communicated. But what I can say for now is that it will be a mixture of a lot of things as we move forward into the future of this competence-based curriculum. The good thing is this: even if they bring the exam that looks like activities of integration, you are that is what you have been doing. Imagine if this thing is given to senior 2s, 3s, or senior 4s who have never done it. You bring a that looks like activities of integration, they would all flank. But for you, you have been given this particular component. Okay. Okay, I've seen that one. Is there chopping in the new curriculum? Now, my friends, schools have policies. I'm not going to go into these administrative issues of chopping. Those issues are to do with different schools. Is there a possibility that you can fail to achieve? Yes. That you may fail to achieve? Yes. And that, so can you fail? In other words, can you fail? Yes, you can fail. So how do we reach the position that you have failed or you have got something? When you do an activity of integration, and it is, for example, say out of 28, it had 2 bases or 3 bases. What you get, like here, you got 20 out of 28. We multiply by 3 because we are scoring from 1 to 3, and then we get the score that we record. I repeat, what you get in the activity of integration, we say like 20 out of 28, we multiply by 3. If it was 1 basis, at 1, it is out of 10. So, and you got 5, we'll say 5 out of 10 times 3. That is what we record. And we record per topic or chapter. We record per topic or per chapter. So we shall record. Where you have more than 1 activity of integration, I am not going to go through that with you. This is what the teachers do, but it will be a little technical for you just to know. We get the we calculate times 3. Now, that is we record. So if you got 18 out of 19, the score you get, we multiply by 3, you get like 2.8 here. You got 18 out of 19, times 3, you get 2.8. This is what we record right here. Next chapter, you get, for example, 20 out of 28. We multiply by 3, you get 2.1. We record 2.1. We record 1 decimal place. So the report we give to your parent for ICT will have this. So 2 point, you'll have your name, Aliyah, chapter 1, 2.8, chapter 2, 2.2, chapter 3, 2.1. We will not put percentages. We don't say 20%. No, it is out of 3. Are we there? So let me read the chat room. For us who haven't been attending Zoom, are the teachers going to repeat for us? To repeat this particular session or another one? So that one is a different issue. Teacher, are S2 somehow connected with our curriculum? Are the S2s somehow connected? They are two curricula. This curriculum for senior 1 and senior 2 onwards, they are different curricula. They are different. This is new, the other one is old. They have knowledge, they have skills, but at different levels, like we have to say. Another question.
Yes, teacher.
Okay. Bukenya, go on. Is it Bukenya?
Yes, teacher, I was just saying, what does C stand for? Because I'm seeing C1, C2, C3. There's like chapter 1 or something else.
Okay. C stands for chapter. So chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. If it is a particular subject and you have chapter 1, what did you get? That is what we record. Chapter 2, that's what we record. Chapter 3 onwards, like that. Okay.
And Mr. Golooba, some little submission about the chapters. The good thing you are having, that the books we are following, all of you in Uganda, you have access on them. Those prototypes we give you. And it means you as a student, you make sure that you do research about that chapter. As Mr. Golooba was submitting, do you get what I'm trying to say? When Mr. Golooba was talking about it, he talked about that you as learners, you are supposed to do research about anything. That's why for you, there is someone who has asked a question that teacher, for us who have not been studying on Zoom, how will we perform like that? No, you don't necessarily need to be on Zoom. You have your books. As a learner, you are supposed to sit down and you do research about those topics. The good thing, they wrote the chapters, you know, this chapter, this and this, this and this, this and this. That's why you see in every chapter, they tell you to go on internet. Why? They know on internet there is information. Am I clear?
Yes, you are.
Yeah,
Yes, teacher.
so you don't need to fear. What you need to know, you need to read in front. You don't necessarily need to wait for the teacher to cover the topic. That's what they have introduced. You do
Yes,
this
Mr. Namdala.
This curriculum is more learner-centered, meaning that you as a learner, you play a big part. Not like the other curriculum of ours where the teacher is the master. That's why even up to now you call us Master Namdala, Master Karema. It's because you think we are the masters of what? Content. Yet in this new curriculum, they are saying we need to work together. You as a learner, you are master of your content. Let me hope you have got my submission.
Very well tabled. And in fact, let me look at the chat room to see if there are hands coming up as a result of that submission. Okay. No. I beg to continue. So we have said that we record the marks for each learner. So the teacher will write the marks for different people. Now, some of you said, and I remember the question, are we positioned? Are we positioned? No, we are not positioned in you. But are we able to tell from this one the performance of different people and how the people are progressing? Let us look at the moment. Okay, let me rephrase. Take a minute to study that table. I'm going to pause, take a minute and study that table. Here we have the learners. Here we have their scores. In the different chapters, this is what the teacher has compiled. We are not grading you, but now study it, and I'm going to come back to ask you what observations you make. Which learner is progressing well? Which learner is declining? Which learner would you think is the best? Which topics do learners have a problem with? Later, we are going to go through that particular area. I pause for a minute so that you can analyze. By show of hands, what observations do you make about the performance or achievement of these learners? We are now checking the voice area. Do we have people who would like to comment about what they think? Okay. Mr. Namdala, you could select the people. Kindly put up your hand so that to make it easy for us to choose.
I'm seeing Bukenya Alia's hand is still up. Bukenya, any submission?
Yes, teacher said that we study the table and see. Okay, according to me, learner A is the best and like they are the most consistent. Like they are, how should I say? Like they are not, like they are not deteriorating. Like they aren't getting any worse. They are steady. Let me put it like that. They are steady. Then learner B could be the next after learner A, because she's also okay. She's steady. She's at a steady pace, although she kind of declined at one point somehow. Then I think learner D and E need to step up a lot because they are the ones with well, 1, 1.2, 1.3. According to what teacher explained to me, that's what I see.
Thank you, Bukenya. I think you nailed it. You really nailed it. Do we have a learner that is improving? Probably was performing not so well, but is improving.
I think because he's actually learner that's improving could be learner C, because 1.1, 1.3, 2.0. Then they try, then they like it's learner C that's like trying to improve.
Okay, so learner C is improving. We are seeing
And
learner
F.
E and F. F is erratic, seems improved up to chapter 4 and then went down and then back up. So learner F it fluctuates. And by the time we end, is in the region of 1, 1. Learner E is struggling with the material. So there are specific terms we teachers will be using to describe that one. So what we do, we will average. Let me, before I move off this slide, because I'm going to move off the slide. Okay, someone, this is Chemta is saying learner A is progressing well. Okay, learner, I think E is trying. Okay, then F is struggling to maintain results. Correct. Then learner C, okay, C stands for chapter. I'm seeing the analysis that you are putting. Now, we will have an average of the scores. So we shall add, for example, it is the end of a term or a year. We have 3.2 for learner A, 2.7 plus 2.2 plus 2. Divide by the number of chapters. So we will get the total. We divide by the number of chapters, and we shall get an average mark. That is what you'll have at the end of the term. So you will have the chapters and the scores in the activities of integration and then the average. If your average is between 0.9 to 1.4, 0.9 to 1.4, it means you are in the identifier is 1. And we say that few competences have been achieved. Few competences are achieved, 0.9 to 1.4. If we are to take it the other way, we could say that you are in the basic level. (0.9 to 1.4). It is basic. It is the lowest. Few competencies are achieved. Average, if it is between 1.5 to 2.4, the identifier is 2. 2 means some competences have been achieved. What does 2 mean? You are moderate. Some competences, some learning outcomes have been achieved. Some. If you are between 2.5, the average is between 2.5 to 3.0, the identifier is 3. It means you are an accomplished performer. It means most or all the learning, the competences were achieved. This table is very important. 0.9 to 1.4 there. Meaning If you do activities of integration and you are in the region of 1.31, you know you are in this area where we say few learning outcomes are achieved, not sufficient for overall achievement. In other words, you have almost failed. Let me read the questions now in the chat room. Lana B, okay. Lana, okay. I'm going to pause. Mr. Namdala, I'm pausing a bit here to see if there are.
Excuse me, teacher.
Huh? Go ahead.
Can you please put back the table and I take a screenshot?
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. I hope it is this one. But what we shall do as well, now that I discover that you need it, what we'll do is to, did you say this table? Is it this one?
No, the one showing the marks.
That one?
Yes, thank you, teacher.
You're welcome.
I'm done.
Done. Okay. And we'll put it in the platforms as well. This is information that can be availed to you. Okay. Any question at this time? I stopped sharing because I wanted to. I have one more thing that I need to communicate to you, but let me first pause. Let me go to the questions that you guys had. Results at the end of the term, I think I have answered that one. How is it graded? I think I have answered that one. That was Aria. How do you mark the activity of integration? I have said we use a grading, the rubric, the grid, the evaluation grid. So we mark according to the evaluation grid. Can we put markings in your work? Yes, to do some guidance, but we rate your answers using basing on the evaluation grid.
Mr.
The
Golooba,
Wanji?
if at all you go back in the chat room, there is someone called Joyce Senior One North. She had a good question which you need at least try to go back and you see in the chat room. She's called Joyce, and I don't remember like you answered her. She's called Joyce Senior One North.
Joyce Senior One North. Teacher,
Yeah.
is it okay if I say this activity cares or contributes to every child and not specifically being the first or last in any position, but practically performing? Okay, I'm not sure I understand the question, but let me, based on what I understand. Joyce, are you in? If you are able to speak, you could clarify. I see, is it okay if I say the activity cares or contributes to every child and not specifically being the first or last in all position in class?
Excuse me, teacher.
Yes.
What I meant by the statement was it doesn't care whether you're the first in class or last, but specifically your performance.
You're right. Your performance in relation to the competency, it judges whether you have achieved the competency or not whether others have achieved, but for you as a person, as a learner. You may have noticed that we refer to you every now and then as learners, not so much as students in this curriculum, but as learners, people who are learning. We are also learners, but technically we are facilitators. We facilitate the learning process. Then how does this relate to the aggregates? Again, to answer the question, this is not about aggregates. It's about the scores that we average. So, and it is between 1 and 3. So D1, D2, it is not what we are basing on when we are judging the activity of integration. Do we, a marks in percentages? I don't remember who wrote them. I didn't write the names. The marks are not in percentages, like I have said. It is on a scale of 1 to 3, so they are not percentages. Shall we have exams? There will be exams, at least for UNEB. We are sure that there will be exams. How many marks? How does it contribute to the final aggregate? That was another question. The earlier proposal was that it would contribute 20%. Right now, there might be changes. Government and other bodies are discussing the percentages. Then someone said, why was it brought? It is so stressing. Yes, it is stressing and enjoyable. It focuses on you, the learner, to develop the skills. Like we say, it is through practice that we become better. So this curriculum prepares you for the world of work so that you can become a better person. That's why. And I can tell you, I am one of the people who itch for it. I really love this curriculum, not because I am lazy. By the way, this curriculum, you might think that the teacher is not working. It is only a facilitator, but it is more taxing to the teacher because you have to arrange a learning environment and activities so that the learner can learn on his own or her own. If you went into the platform and you looked at chapter 5 of geography, you will see that I got the curriculum textbook, but I knew I was not around. You are not around. I knew you were going to be away. Then started adapting it to be for you being able to work as an individual only. So that one. Then another one. How is a teacher supposed to teach? That one have given. How the teachers are supposed to teach, we have already identified. Would there be exams in Form 4? Yes, they are likely to be exams in Form 4. Ladies and gentlemen, those are the main questions you had. I am monitoring the chat. I had one little more thing to say, and I feel I want to say it. But let me first read your questions in the chat room. Workshop will be uploaded. Yeah, the video will be uploaded. Thank you. This curriculum is getting quite interesting. Yes, it is. This is Kawaya Sophia. And so, yes, there are people finding it tough. There are people finding it interesting. There are a few things that we need to do. We must be able to adapt. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to share with you a few personal things about the curriculum. Allow me to broadcast this presentation quickly, which I had prepared, but we can organize another time so that I show you this thing better when we are in better times. I'm going to run through quickly. I'll highlight a few things. Like you have said, one, there will be exams. So guys, there will be senior 4. There will be a national exam. Just because you're in the new curriculum does not mean there will not be an exam. There will be a time for recognition.
Mr. Golooba,
yes?
if at all you are sharing something, I think you have tapped on the wrong thing. We are seeing a blank space. It means you have selected something.
Sure.
Yeah.
Stop share. Should I share again? Let me see. How about now?
Yeah, we can see.
You're able to see?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
But we'll have, we will get another time to discuss this. So I said there will be an exam. And we say you can't just sit and wait. You have to work for it. If you guys decide to go, yeah, it is COVID and you just have fun, you end up like this girl on the left-hand side. If you put in your effort, you give it your all, end of senior 4, you'll end up here, and success in the world will await you. You can choose how you want your life to be. as students. You can choose whether 10 years down the road, whether you'll be the one serving people this juice, or whether people will be serving you that juice. So you can choose. The decision is ours today. I'll be sharing more with you, but I'm going to now run to the very last slide. I'm not going to discuss the rest. I'm just going to the last slide. This slide here. And this slide is to do with, that was point number 5. There are quite a number of points that I wanted to make, but I need us to look at this carefully. All of you are using social media, and we have connected together through social media. Social media can help to amplify your voice. It can make you a star, but it can also amplify your mistakes. Kindly be careful how you relate on social media. Be courteous, be polite. There is no reason to involve in an online battle. Why? Whatever you're doing is being recorded. You can delete the message, but maybe someone took a screenshot. So I urge you, as we move forward, we are going to be using technology a lot. As we use the technology, kindly be courteous. Balance your use of time. Don't spend all the time on your phone. Please balance. Read, do housework, and other things. Don't just stay on social media. Don't divulge personal details. Don't tell people where you stay. Don't take pictures of your home. When we are doing this video conference, turn the camera off most of the time. Even when you have it on, don't show everything about yourself, because there are evil people in the world who might find you. So be careful what information you give out. Second last, who do you follow? Now, today, I think the in thing is TikTok. We can tell a lot about you by the kind of people that you follow or who follow you. And this one is a record that you're creating. So check, don't follow everyone just because. Follow some, don't follow everything. But most importantly, in whatever you do on social media, cultivate a positive image. Write in a way that puts you up. I didn't know much about Bukenya, but just from this meeting today, I have a feeling that she's sharp, she's outgoing, she's eloquent, she's up there, and I have not met her before. I could make an assessment of you, or another person could make a similar assessment of you. So as you're on social media, kindly mind the image that you are creating. We are all learning. I would like to thank you very much for your attention, for sacrificing time to invest in yourselves. I hand over to Mr. Namdala. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kalema.
You're welcome.
Okay,
Mr.
thank you, Mr. Kalima. Yeah, we have someone from Mr. Byman. Mr. Byman.
Thank you very much. I want to thank Mr. Kalema. Probably next time we shall get him a cup similar to that of Mr. Museveni for taking that tea. But more so, I just wanted to supplement something about divulging the personal details. These days we are having a number of like lotto-like messages, where they say, is it Coca-Cola is celebrating this one is celebrating this, is it free money, things like that. At many times when you click on that link, they will ask for your details for you to win. In actual sense, there is nothing to win, but they are taking your information which they can use in a wrong way. So we have to be careful when those messages come. Don't just start filling in that information. There's nothing to win. No company is there to give you free money like that. Instead, there are hackers who want to get your information, and the next time the outcomes will not be very good. Thank you very much for that tip of social media discipline. Thank you.
So that we are not and lost something, I'd like it to have in 3 months or anything like that. Like usually it would be big for us. Okay.
Prayer. Let us have the closing prayer from Ali. Ali, put on your video so that people can see who is praying for them. Okay.
Let's pray. Let's humble ourselves and pray. Heavenly Father, I thank you for today, and I thank you that you enabled us to come here and be able to share this. I pray that you may bless Mr. Berman, Mr. Namgala, and Mr. Kalema Golooba for helping us, because they really helped us to learn a lot about the new curriculum, helped us to understand everything. And I pray that we may also live when we have understood, and that we may also work hard and do the things that are expected of us to do. In Jesus' name, amen.
So, bye.
Amen.
Bye.
Bye. Teacher Kalema's kapu.
Teacher, you want it?
Bye. Somebody another one.
Teacher,
Bye. For 20M.